Chapter 9. Into the Fray. As the group made their way through the thickening woods, the looming shadows of twisted trees reached out like skeletal fingers, blotting out the moonlight. Their destination, an abandoned tavern nestled at the edge of an ancient forest, was said to be a gathering place of dark secrets, a forgotten waypoint on the path to Keldrath. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and rotting leaves. Garrett walked at the front, his senses on high alert. Beside him, Silas moved with silent grace, her Eladrin eyes scanning the dark for movement. Behind them, Kaida kept to the shadows, Nyx slinking alongside her with an unnatural stillness. Lyra's keen eyes darted from one twisted branch to another, a hand always resting near her bow. Morik, the last in line, kept his warhammer close, his expression hardened. As they reached the clearing where the tavern lay in ruins, an unsettling quiet settled over the group. No one spoke, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Garrett raised a hand, signaling for the others to stop. He glanced back, his eyes locking onto each of them, as if silently communicating the need for caution. There were no lights on inside of the tavern, save for one lit lantern on the outside, swinging lightly on a pole. "Charming place," Morik grunted, his eyes sweeping the area. "Perfect spot for an ambush." "Perhaps," Garrett agreed, his gaze fixed on the eerie glow of the lantern. "But it's the only shelter for miles. We can't afford to keep traveling without rest." "That light's still burning," Kaida noted, her voice soft and wary. "Someone was here recently." Before anyone could react, the advocate, a tall, elven woman, spoke with an air of quiet authority, who spoke on behalf of the Oracle, emerged from the darkness. Her voice was calm but commanding. She was wearing a red robe with a sigil on it, with an O and fancy lettering around it. "This is one of the contacts the Oracle had spoken of." She waves her hand towards the door in a welcoming manner. "An astute observation, Kaida. The wilds hold many secrets. Some are better faced with a roof over your head." Reluctantly, the group agreed, and they stepped onto the porch, the old wood groaning under their weight. Inside, the tavern was a picture of desolation. Broken chairs and tables lay scattered about like the aftermath of a storm. A thick layer of dust coated the floor, interrupted only by a few fresh tracks. "Stay close," Lyra whispered, her elven eyes catching glimpses of movement in the dim light. There could be traps. They moved cautiously toward the entrance of the ruined tavern. The once sturdy walls were now overgrown with vines. Parts of the roof had caved in long ago. The inn attached to the tavern was a skeleton of its former self, beams of wood jutting out like broken ribs. Morik's eyes narrowed as he examined the surroundings. This place has seen better days. They spread out cautiously, examining the room. Morik moved toward the bar, eyes scanning the shelves for anything of use. Garrett stood near the center, one hand resting on the hilt of his sword, while Kaida and Nyx prowled along the perimeter, the fox's nose twitching with curiosity. "There's something here," Kaida stated as Nyx growled low and almost inaudibly. Kaida nodded, her eyes narrowing. "Keep your eyes open, watch each other's backs," she warned the others. "This place feels wrong." Garrett nodded and turned to the others. "Stay close, we don't know what we're walking into." Kaida's eyes darted toward a dark corner of the tavern's interior. "Did anyone else see that?" A low growl emanated from the shadows, followed by the unmistakable sound of heavy clawed feet scraping against stone. The group tensed as a Gnoll ravager, its mangy fur streaked with blood and filth, emerged from the darkness. Its eyes glowed with a feral hunger, and its jagged teeth glistened in the dim light. "Gnolls," Morik muttered, gripping his warhammer tightly. "Nasty buggers." The ravager let out a guttural growl and charged forward, its massive frame barreling toward them. Garrett reacted first, raising his shield and bracing for impact. The creature collided with him, sending a shockwave through his arm, but he held his ground and took 2 swipes at the gnoll with his sword, both striking and cutting it deeply. Silas began weaving a spell, her voice a low, rhythmic chant that caused the earth beneath the gnoll's feet to tremble. Roots erupted from the ground, snaking around the ravager's legs and holding it in place. The beast howled in frustration, thrashing violently against its restraints. Lyra released an arrow that found its mark in the gnoll's shoulder. The creature roared, tearing through the roots with sheer brute strength. Kaida stepped forward, her hand raised as she whispered an incantation. Shadows coalesced around her, then shot forward, creating a thick veil of darkness that enveloped the gnoll. Disoriented, it staggered back, swiping wildly at the air. In the confusion, Morik seized the moment. He charged, his warhammer raised high. With a mighty swing, he brought it crashing down on the gnoll's spine. The sound of bone cracking echoed through the night. The creature let out a final, agonizing howl before collapsing to the ground, twitching violently. But the Ravager wasn't done. With a primal fury, it clawed at the ground, dragging itself toward Morik. Its eyes blazed with hatred, its jaws snapping at the air, inches away from Morik's boot. Morik didn't flinch. "Stay down," he growled, bringing the warhammer down again, this time crushing its skull. The Ravager's eyes went wide, then dimmed as its body slumped to the ground. Its final breaths came in ragged gasps, a slow death rattle that signaled the end of its brutality. The group stood in silence, catching their breath as the darkness seemed to lift, if only slightly. The only sound was the distant hoot of an owl and the soft rustle of leaves in the night breeze. After a moment, the advocate stepped forward, her expression grim. "This is only the beginning. The path ahead is fraught with danger. You must trust in each other if you are to survive." Garrett turned to face the group, his voice steady. "She's right. We need to know where each of us stands. We've all been brought together for a reason, but we don't yet know what that reason is, other than a quest for the gem." Lyra was the first to speak, her voice soft but determined. "I'm here because I have to be. My people, they need someone to find the Luminaris gem. Without it, the people and the lands are doomed." Morik nodded. And I'm here for my clan. There's a sickness in the mountains spreading like wildfire. If we don't find a cure soon, we're done for." Silas stepped forward, her eyes calm yet fierce. "Nature itself is suffering. The land is poisoned, and the creatures are turning on each other. I came to find a way to heal it." Kaida glanced at the others, Nyx nuzzling against her leg. "I have my reasons," she said cautiously. "But for now, let's just say I'm looking for answers. Answers I hope the Luminaris gem will provide." Garrett listened to them all, nodding. "Then it seems we're all searching for the Luminaris gem, and it's bigger than any one of us." He looked around at the group, his resolve hardening. "But we won't find it alone. We've done well so far on this road together, but this is still only the beginning." Lyra nods to agree. Who knows how many chapters will be in this story? The group exchanged glances, the weight of their individual burdens now shared among them. For the first time since they'd been summoned, there was a sense of unity, a fragile bond forming in the shadow of their shared purpose. The advocate smiled faintly. "Very well, the Oracle will be pleased to hear of your understanding. Now rest while you can. The journey ahead will not be an easy one." With that, they took their positions around the ruins, keeping watch and preparing for whatever lay ahead. The night was far from over, and the shadows had only just begun to gather.